Ever wish your PC had a Gameboy port? Well, look no further than the GB operator. With USB connectivity, you'll be able to play your Game Boy games on any computer. Just plug and play. No, seriously, that's all there is to it. That's right, guys. I got my hands on a GB operator made by a company known as Epilogue. Today we're going to be going over just what's inside this box. We're going to be going over the overall build quality of the device and its ease of use. We're going to be going over the software that runs this device, and as an added bonus, I'll show you how to replace a Game Boy cartridge battery that ends up storing the save or powering the RAM that stores the save inside your cart. And as we all know, those batteries are coming up on 20, 30 plus years at this point, so they're dying. So without further ado, let's get started, shall we? Alright, as you can see, the boxing is quite nice. You can see all the paraphernalia they have. It's compatible, most importantly, I would say it's compatible with the Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance. These are the properties of this device, and it runs on Windows 10 or later, Mac OS 10.15 or later, or Linux x64. So it's got a wide variety, should work on pretty much every computer, so long as you have a USB port on it that you can access. Inside the box, we've got a nice little message. Thank you. You play a huge part in our mission to preserve video game history. We plan on releasing more products that bring to life the nostalgia for childhood games with a modern twist. Together, we will make sure that retro games aren't forgotten as time passes by, but their charm is here for generations to come. So inside the box, you get obviously the device. Here it is. You get a nice little compliance card from the FCC, but of course it tells you the instructions. It's a very simple device, or in terms of interface. Of course, I wouldn't know how to make this, but it has of course, it's got the Game Boy port, the Game Boy Color or the Game Boy Advance. You can put your card right on there, and then it has on the other side just a USB-C port. And it comes with a cable, USB-C to A. It's not USB 3.0 as far as I know. I'm not entirely sure. I guess USB-C is 3.0. But it's very simple. Just plug it in and play, as it were. It installs the drivers right away, and that's, as far as I know, all that's in the box. Oh, you can check them out on social media if you want. I definitely highly suggest you follow them at all these places. So once you plug in the device, a driver should install if you're using this on Windows. Of course, I don't have a use case for Mac or Linux, unfortunately, so you're just going to have to figure that out on your own. But you should be able to also go to Epilogue's website and download the software. They have a download tab on their website. You just download the Epilogue operator software, and it should install very easily, and you should be greeted with this screen once you're all plugged in and ready to go. So it's prompting you to insert a cartridge. Make sure the cartridge is properly inserted and the pins are clean. Do not remove the cartridge while any operation is running. So that's really important. And of course, we're dealing with Game Boy games here, right? I'm gonna demonstrate Pokemon Blue here. These games, they're almost 30 years old at this point, so they can be very dirty. So don't be discouraged if it doesn't work immediately. If there's a clean connection between the Epilogue operator software, the device, and the pins on the cart, everything should run smoothly. So if it doesn't run smoothly, I highly suggest you get some isopropyl alcohol and some cotton swabs and go at it and clean your carts up. So I'm going to insert Pokemon Blue here, and hopefully everything works. And immediately we're prompted here. Look how fast that works. So it immediately loaded up the game. I think it's really cool that it shows you, I have no idea where it's pulling from, but it must be pulling from a database somewhere. It's got a description of the game, which is really sick. It tells you what game it is. You know, this is the US Europe version. SGB Enhance. I don't really know what that means. And it's made by Game Freak. And I think one of the coolest features of this that I think a use case would be for maybe a retro game shop or someone who's trying to identify counterfeit cartridges that they're maybe purchasing on the internet. This should, in theory, this software should be able to detect counterfeit games. So that's a really awesome feature of this. And of course you can just choose to launch the game. So within this software you can just play the game. I'll go into that later. I just wanted to go through all the features first. Down here we have gamepad controls, so you can hook up a controller such as a 8BitDo or 8BitDo, however you pronounce that company. They make a lot of old school controllers that can be hooked up to modern software and old software, and you can configure it right here. It would, I don't currently have one connected. I guess I could do that. So I just hooked up an Xbox One controller to the, to my PC. And you can select your input. If you have multiple controllers, it would show up here. You can then rebind the keys, so it'll tell you what you want to rebind. Here it's selecting what would be the A input on your Game Boy. You can press whatever you want. I'm gonna press B and then A, and then it tells you just go through all the inputs here, and then now it should be all inputted properly, rebinded that is. So then you can just close this window. It should work with most any X input controller, so that's really awesome. You can also bind your keyboard, so you could just play this without a controller if you wanted. It wouldn't be that bad of an experience, to be honest with you. And then this, as you can see up here, we have a X version 0.7.2, so this will be useful if you're watching this in the future. Maybe they have a more updated software. This is currently in a beta right now. This is a relatively new device. I think they just started selling this year, 2021, circa AD. 2021 AD, maybe you're watching this in... Oh god. So the emulator settings and device settings are coming soon, allegedly. I don't really know what that's going to entail, but I would assume the emulator settings is going to be a big deal, because this, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, reads the data from the cartridge and then emulates it on your computer so you can actually play it. So going to the data tab, I think this is probably the most powerful part of the software and device, and maybe the most interesting feature as to why you may want to purchase this. You can actually just download the game from the cart, insert it into the slot. You can download it and play it on your preferred emulator. This is exactly what it says. Store game data on your computer, creating a digital replica of your collection. Game files can then be used with your preferred emulator. Tip: our app runs a data integrity test to make sure that you're getting an accurate reproduction of the cartridge's content. I'm not entirely sure what process that is, but maybe it's legit. I don't know. They don't really offer too many more interesting things about that, or interesting tips and tricks, but it's as simple as clicking start. So I'll click start here. This is going to prompt you to go give it a path to save. I've already made a sweet folder for this, and it's going to be labeled Pokemon Blue version. You say .gb. It was as simple as that. Just change it to .gb, and all you got to do is click save, and data progress, loading game up top, and then this is the loading bar apparently. So this is an interesting use case. When I tried this last night, I obviously wanted to test out this software beforehand. I downloaded a Game Boy I downloaded Golden Sun right here. I have Golden Sun, right? I downloaded it within literally 10 seconds. So downloading the entire cartridge of Golden Sun was very fast. So maybe it has to do with my particular cart of Pokemon Blue. Maybe it has to do with my computer. It's probably my computer. My computer is very old at this point in 2021. But Golden Sun worked really fast, so maybe there's some. It's a much older cartridge. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe there's not there's a faulty connection or something. I'm not entirely sure. So this is for your purposes. I'm not going to cut this out, I suppose. Okay guys, so we're back here. We just made it to 99%. I'm not entirely sure what the problem was. I'm going to just double check it while recording here. Oh, here's another problem. Integrity. This has literally never happened. So I feel like maybe there's... Of course, this software is currently in beta. I'm not entirely sure if it's a software issue or if it's my game card or whatever it is. I just know last night I checked Golden Sun. It downloaded really fast. So I want to check just another game really fast. We'll still do... I'll work out some kinks with Pokemon. I've looked through Reddit. The Reddit page about, Epilogue has their own Reddit page, as we saw earlier in the video. So I went through their Reddit page. It seems like a lot of people are actually having problems. I think this is all, of course, going to be ironed out. This is in beta, 1. 2, I have seen in the Reddit page, there are many representatives from, or maybe just one, I don't know, representatives from Epilogue, answering questions, helping people through their problems. They of course have a support page on their website. So I think they're willing to, they've put this software out in beta, they've put this product out that should, in theory, work, and I think they're committed to fixing all the issues with this problem. So I'm going to just click OK here. And we're going to switch to games. I'll show you how easy it is to switch games, of course. What we should have to do is switch the game. Like so. I have a lot of things in front of me, so just gonna take it out. Oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Uh-oh. Let's restart the software. So, okay, maybe I made a mistake. I'm not entirely sure. So we're just restarting the software here. I'm going to check this on cart of Sonic Advance, which I currently have right here in my hand. Hopefully it recognizes it. I had it working on my Game Boy. Ah, it doesn't even recognize it at all. What's going on? Okay, so after troubleshooting a little bit, I've restarted my computer, I've re-plugged in the device. Let's see if this works. Who knows? We'll try Pokemon again. It recognizes it, that's good news. I don't know if I want to start this download, but I'll try. Okay, so as you can see, that's how fast it should operate. You just saw that in real time. I clicked start save and it downloaded immediately as opposed to the first time. So we can then take a look at this file. It seems like this software has a lot of bugs to work out, I would have to say. So I'm not going to, I gotta be completely honest with you. You saw the whole troubleshooting issue. It took a long time for some reason. I'm not entirely sure. But the file's right here. .gb. You should be able to use this with any other emulator. So if you don't like this software for whatever reason, I could think of a couple of reasons, I suppose. It's in beta, whatever, and you already like your current Game Boy emulator, you can totally just use that file. So I think this is a really cool device that allows you to essentially rip carts. But I think the more important thing from this software and this device is that you're able to download saves. Now that I have everything working properly, course, you could just troubleshoot, unplug, plug back in. That's basically what I did. So this is the download save file. Transfer a duplicate of your save data from the cartridge to your computer. You can then back up your save file or edit it with an external program. So that's really cool. It just becomes a file on your computer. Tip: transfer your save to the computer, replace the battery, and transfer it back to the cartridge safely. So I think that's an incredible use of this device, and I'm going to currently do that right now. Let's save it right here. And that was almost instant. So that's really great. I mean, I can't imagine a Game Boy cart has much saving to. Okay, so the order of operations we've done here. We downloaded the game. I don't think that was really necessary for this video, but I just wanted to show the functionality of the software. We downloaded the save, so that's really cool. We'll currently launch the game to show you that this game is up and running really well on this software, hopefully, and it has a save that is probably around 10 years old. So all you got to do is click launch, and it runs. That's great. I forgot I remapped the buttons. So cool. I have a save in the game, and you can play it here. I think the let me just lower the volume for a little bit. I think, or maybe it's just really loud in my headphones. I think the more important thing is that currently you have to play this windowed, so you can make it full screen like that, but there's no way to play this in full screen. And there's no like filtering options or anything like that, or scan lines that you can add in some emulators, so it's pretty bare bones as far as emulators go. All you have to do is click escape, and then you can overwrite the current save to your cartridge or discard. We'll discard for now. This is way too big. So there's currently no emulator settings on this device, on this software, so that's something to say, but of course they're going to be updating it, so I think that should, you take it as you will. Or maybe you have it already, who knows, when you're watching this video. But I think this is a really cool software. We're going to replace the battery right now, and then we'll move on to uploading the save. So this is just a quick look at the things that I'm going to be using to replace the batteries. I'm going to be using CR1616, but you can also use a CR2025 battery for Game Boy games and Game Boy Color games. For the Game Boy Advance games that actually use batteries to help save game, I would suggest you use the CR1616, as they're smaller batteries and they will have an easier time fitting inside the smaller cartridge of the Game Boy Advance. But otherwise, these are select couple things that I use to solder. You don't have to use these exact brands or whatever. Get whatever soldering kit that you like. Let me start off by saying there are way more qualified people to teach you how to solder than me. I highly suggest, if you're trying to learn how to solder, you disregard everything that you're seeing here and you learn from a professional, because I don't really know what I'm doing in terms of an educational level, but I'm going to show you what I did and talk you through it. So first thing you're going to do is flip the cart over and take the screw out by using your Gambit screwdriver. Again, a 3.8mm should work. These are usually sold in a set of 2. The second one is going to be larger and typically used for games like N64 games or SNES games. Once you remove the screw, the top of the cart should just slide down. I actually have a counterfeit cart, which I should have shown you in this video, but I totally forgot about it. I tried to open it, and I wasn't actually able to slide down the top of the cart, so maybe that's a good way of identifying a counterfeit. I'm not entirely sure. Either way, you should be able to see the battery and the game card inside actual, the PCB board, and I suggest you try to secure this in whatever way possible. I have this nifty helping hand device, which was super cheap. You can pick it up on either Amazon. I picked it up at Micro Center. But this thing helps me out a lot. It holds it in place and sort of so I don't have to have like 4 hands in order to do this properly. And I suppose I should have mentioned this before, but before you start this process, it would be a good idea to start heating up your soldering iron, just so it's up to temperature and you don't have to wait around while you have this card open. Either way, you're going to want to add a little bit of flux to the 2 contact points of the battery in order to prevent any oxidation while you're heating up the solder. The next step would be to gently slide the tip of your tweezers under the battery while you start heating up one side of the battery. As you start to apply a little bit of force upward from under the battery while you're heating up one side, it should just pop up. You can repeat the process on the other side of the battery, and you should just be able to take the battery completely off at this point. Discard the battery, or you can recycle it. I suggest you go recycle it to save the environment. Learn how to properly recycle. Please, people. At this point, you can choose to use the solder that's the residual solder that's on there. I suggest you take it off, considering this solder is, 20 years old, depending on the game, and who knows, how old it is. So I suggest you try to remove as much as possible. This is what the soldering wick is for. All you have to do is sort of just heat up the soldering wick until it sort of absorbs the solder. This will give you a clean plate, and you can clean it up with some isopropyl alcohol and a Q-tip, and this will help aid you in preserving your game cartridge for future play. At this point, it's also a really good time to inspect the pins because you have it open, right? This is, how your game connects with everything, so it's really important to have those pins cleaned. This is a really good time to clean them. Because while you're soldering the battery, it can dry out, just to make sure the isopropyl alcohol is completely evaporated. It's good to leave it out a little bit. So this is a really good time to clean your pins very thoroughly, and you'll get a good job done in. Once you remove the solder, the residual solder, this is a good time to clean up those pads, as I mentioned before, but you can add some more flux to each pad and then add a little bit of solder, some fresh solder to these pads. You'll want to identify which terminal of the battery is the positive terminal and the negative terminal. The top terminal is labeled the positive terminal on the card, and you want to align that properly with the positive terminal of your battery. That is pretty self-explanatory in my opinion, but if you don't know, now you know. Basically, you want to heat up the solder and try to, submerge the terminal platelet that comes out of the battery. You may have to actually adjust it. These things all come in different shapes and sizes, so whichever one you purchase is going to be the one you purchase. I can't really speak towards which one you purchase, but I had to adjust and make some bends on the battery to make sure it fit properly. Don't be afraid to move these. They're little coin cell batteries. They're not that expensive, so it's not the end of the world if you have to bend it with your tweezers. So don't feel like you're doing something wrong if you're doing that. Just make sure it seats flat on the card when you start applying the heat from your solder gun or your soldering iron, and that should be sufficient. You want to make sure when the solder is heated up that you sort of submerge the tab in it, and then you want to remove the solder gun or the solder iron at that point so the solder solidifies, and that is how you make your connection with the battery. You then want to put the card back in properly and button up your game card, your game cartridge, and then you should be ready to go. Okay, so we're back. That took a little longer than I would have wanted. Also, I definitely don't suggest you follow my instructions for soldering. I think there are much more educated and better, well-equipped people out there on the internet to learn how to solder from. I was just demonstrating that even a bonehead like me can replace this battery, and hopefully I will demonstrate that to you right now, as it should be functioning. So I'm gonna go plug this in. Alright, so again, the software's working, that's nice. I think again, I guess we'll reflect upon the software later, but let's see if this works. So we're gonna launch the game, and because I replaced that battery, it should be that my data has been erased. So that's what we're looking for right now. And as you can see here, we have no save data. That means that that battery was removed, and that means that we have replaced it, which is good. Hopefully we have a functioning battery, that is. That we'll figure out. So I'm gonna discard this, and then we're gonna go to data here. We should be able, using this software, to upload the save. So once we downloaded the save, we downloaded the game. You don't have to do download game if you don't want to, but we certainly downloaded the save, right? So this upload save function, transfer a duplicate of your save data from your computer to the cartridge and pick the game up right where you left off. Use external programs to trigger in-game events or customize gameplay. So this I won't be doing, but let's select a... So this tip, I'm not entirely sure what they're referring to. I'm not a professional modder or anything. I'm just like this piece of software, I think. We're gonna click start to our save here. We've located our save that we downloaded and then replace the battery. We're gonna click open. And I'm not sure if that worked. It was red for a brief second. So let's see if this works. There it is. There's a continue. Let's see if it's the exact save. Yeah, 8:26:48. It's certainly something. And look at that. This is exactly the same save. We replaced the battery. We erased the save. We downloaded it. We downloaded the save. We replaced the battery, thus erasing the save from the cart. Then we uploaded the save, and look at this. We can play the game now. And we can live peacefully a mind knowing that we have a backup of this save, and we also replace the cart, so that would mean or we replace the battery, that would mean that it works. This is really cool. I can't believe this worked. So I guess I'd like to give some final thoughts on this whole spiel. As you saw, you know, I had a problem with the software, right? I tried to download the game. It took almost like 45 minutes for some reason, and honestly, these games are like, what, kilobytes in size? I then had to restart my computer. I had some troubles with connectivity. I think that that is not necessarily Epilogue's fault. I think it's probably my computer. I definitely don't want to rule that out as a variable in this problem. I also think that this software is pretty clean. It looks really nice, and of course, let's not talk not to mention the build quality of the device itself. It's a really beautiful device. This LED is a little bright for me, but I do know that at least addressing from the Reddit page, there is an update that will be rolling out eventually for you to be able to control that LED light. So like I said, I had that one instance. It was recorded on camera. I'm not sure if this will be updated in the future or if it was actually just an interface between my computer specifically and the device and the software all intermingling and not communicating properly, but it was very slow in the beginning. But once I restarted my computer and got everything running properly, this thing worked like a charm, right? You saw that it downloaded almost instantly. It downloaded the save almost instantly and uploaded the save almost instantly. So when this sort of tango between computer, GB operator, and GB operator software work, when this stuff is working, this is an amazing piece of tech. And I don't want you to be discouraged by my tech mishandling. I think it was probably my fault, in all in all said, when all things are said. I wanted to talk about some of the use cases for this device. I think this could be potentially useful in the future for things like if you're I think I said it earlier in the video, but like a retro game collector or a retro game shop, it would be really valuable to be able to identify counterfeit cartridges. I think to figure out and tell your audience or tell your customers that this is a bootleg cartridge and things like that. So being able to verify that through a device this simply is really a cool thing. I think there are probably more, maybe sophisticated is not the right word, but it's the one that's coming to mind right now. Maybe there's more sophisticated ways of detecting a counterfeit cartridge. I'm not an expert on that sort of in that field, so don't look to me for that, but at least I have this thing going for me. And I've also seen on that Reddit page, again, I'm referring to that because that's the point of contact where a lot of people will be able to contact Epilogue as a company, and they're really active on that site right now. So I direct you to that if you're troubleshooting this particular device. But there are plenty of threads like, what are you guys looking forward in the future? They intend, I think their next device will probably be an SNES version of this, so you'll be able to do the same exact things using SNES cartridges. And then they eventually want to move on to N64 cartridges, all of which run on batteries in order to save their, or at least the majority of those games have coin cell batteries in there in order to make sure those save files were saved. And those batteries are running out of time and energy, so it is really valuable that you could potentially have this sort of device at your disposal. I also think the other use case for this is obviously streaming on Twitch. You can follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/JujuBsGood, where I intend to stream probably Pokemon Nuzlocke, potentially other games. I have a whole backlog of Game Boy Advance games, which this also runs, by the way. I'll show you right now. I mean, I have a copy of Pokemon Sapphire here right now. Hopefully this works. And again, I think this is not necessarily other people or your fault. Right, so it worked, and then it didn't work. Great. Let's try this again. Okay, they recognize the game. So I think people are going to be excited about this product, as you should be. I think it's really great. But if you're like me, you had a Game Boy when you were a kid, and you got all these games, and it's really awesome to have all these games for sure. But maybe you didn't take the best care of them because you weren't an adult and you were a kid playing awesome Pokemon games. So when you come across a cartridge like this that's 30 years old, you're going to have to thoroughly clean it. So don't necessarily, count out the software or the device as faulty because every now and then it doesn't recognize the game, or it doesn't even boot up or recognize a game has been inserted. I think that's partially on the user. If your carts are dirty, clean that shit out, man. These things are 30 years old. They collect a lot of dust and dirt and oils and nasty shit. So get yourself some IPA, some isopropyl alcohol, and some cotton swabs and clean your connectors out. Of course, the only way these things interact is by a series of pins on the inside. As you saw throughout my soldering, I definitely made sure to clean this cartridge, and that's why it's working properly now. So Pokemon Sapphire I probably haven't touched in like 10 years, 15 years now. I don't even know when it came out. I guess can we figure that out? Let's make this full screen. Huh, that's really interesting. Okay, so some qualms I have with this software, as it is in beta, of course. I don't know how to read the rest of this blurb. That's interesting. It's pulling from a database. That's fine. I would like to be able to have a notification of whether or not it successfully downloaded the game or downloaded the save or uploaded the save. I think those are probably coming in the future, I can imagine. And as of right now, December 2021, those things are not there. And the only way you would know if the game is working or not is if it is a negative in the negative sense of that, right? So again, this is the version of the software that I'm using right now, so I assume it's probably better by the time you get your hands on it. So I hope in the future Epilogue addresses all these problems. I'm sure they will. All in all, I think this is an amazing product. Really cool build quality, super easy interface, very diverse amount of use cases in which this could be used. I think this is a super awesome thing that allows you to play Game Boy games on your computer. I think that's a sorely missed opportunity on Nintendo's part, I would say. Coming in at $50 US, I think this is a must-buy for anyone who has any sort of inkling, or even just like honestly 3 or 4 Game Boy games that you remember playing. This is a no-brainer. Definitely pick this device up. I think all of these technical issues will be ironed out, and in fact they're probably my fault to begin with. I think this is a really great product, and I hope you guys can get your hands on it in the near future. So without further ado, thank you so much for watching the video. I hope it was informative in some way. I'm gonna have to figure it out in editing, of course. And I hope you guys have a great day. Don't forget, I will probably be using this device in my upcoming series, Juju Center CX, which is emulating the amazing Japanese television show called Game Center CX, where the main character plays through a game one day. I'm trying to knock out my backlog. A lot of Game Boy games are on that backlog, so don't you worry, I will be using this. And I'm very excited for that. That's going to be coming out once a month on this channel. I hope you guys check it out. And don't forget to subscribe, like the video. You could dislike it, but I wouldn't see it. So don't even bother, because I don't care. I just don't care, apparently. Apparently I don't care about dislikes. It's not important. Anyways, have a great day, yo. See you guys in the next video. Whatever.